All right, and welcome, guys. We ran a contest on our Twitter. Who can predict the correct outcome of Fight Night Las Vegas when we had Merab versus Peter Yan, which was a great fight. It was awesome to see Merab really take over like that. Well, we had someone comment that they thought that Merab was going to win by decision, and he corrected it. He also did a submission for our contest with John Jones versus Cyril Gane. He was pretty close, but no one obviously could have predicted that outcome. But we're going to bring in Owen. Owen, what's going on, brother? How you doing?
Hey, guys. Thanks for having me.
Of course. So we kind of wanted to talk quickly about the Merab fight and then get into UFC 286 because that's going to be a great card. Yeah. So, reflecting back on the Fight Night Las Vegas when we saw Merab destroy Yan, like, what was your thoughts about that main event?
So I want to preface first, nobody come at me. I am a Piotr Yan fan, right? I did want him to win that fight. But, Chael Sonnen broke it down well, actually. He said, Piotr Yan and Jose Aldo are pretty similar fighters, and we saw how Jose Aldo versus Merab went. Nobody could have expected how well Merab did. I mean, he could have gone, I think, 10 more rounds and looked the exact same. Right? I've never seen cardio like that live before. It was crazy. He completely shut down Yan. It was a really impressive performance. Obviously, the thing he has going on with Aljo, I don't really know who his next fight's going to be. But whatever it is, I think he's probably going to be a heavy betting favorite now that people know how good he is.
Yeah, I would say so. And those fighters who put that amount of pressure, like Merab, you never see them able to keep that up for up to 5 rounds, even 4 rounds for that instance, right?
He still, like you said, he had another 5 rounds in him.
Yeah, a lot of those pressure fighters tend to get caught in later rounds, tend to get an uppercut or something like along those lines. But for Merab, that just didn't happen, and the whole entire time we saw complete dominance.
Especially with somebody so counter striking as Piotr Yan, right? Everybody says, in the later rounds is where he takes over. He's gonna kick Merab's ass in the final 2 rounds, or round 3 is where it is. He shut him down 5 rounds straight. Piotr could get nothing going, and that's impressive.
Yeah, I agree. And Owen, what's next for Yan?
Ooh,
it's tough.
That's a good question. I think a fight with Dominic Cruz would be great.
He's still on the roster. He didn't retire?
No, he's still going.
No, we can still have Cruz in there.
I also heard on Twitter somebody said you should do him versus Figgy if Figgy's moving up. That would be a really great fight.
Okay, yeah.
That's probably would be the one I would sort of go for, because both former champs. Figgy's moving up in weight. He should get a good fight in the division. I think that's what I would go with it.
Yeah, that would be awesome. Heavy hands.
And then I know Rob Font is fighting quite soon in the bantamweight division, and I know that could be in the running as well. Whoever wins that fight.
Yeah, him versus Adrian Yanez is.
It is Adrian. Okay. Yeah. All right, well, let's move on to UFC 286 because I'm certainly pretty excited going forward. There's some really good early prelims, and the main card is just stacked head to toe. Yes, Owen, what fight are you looking most forward to?
Yeah, I think you're right. I see a lot of people kind of overlooking this card, and I agree. I think they've had decent, I don't know about, I'd say better, but like UFC London cards have been very good in the past. So in the main card especially, to only have like a couple people from the UK is not ideal, but I do think it's a pretty good card. If you take away the fact it's in England, it's still on paper a great card. Obviously, there's a lot of great fights in the night. But, I mean, I don't know anybody who's not looking the most forward to Justin Gaethje versus Rafael Fiziev.
Yeah,
that fight is definitely going to perform.
I had listened to Weasel on YouTube. He's this really big UFC content creator. Makes really good content, and he was like, this could go down as one of the best lightweight fights ever. Like, kind of like a Chandler versus Gaethje kind of fight if they're both on their game. If an early knockout doesn't happen, this is going to go the distance. It's
got that type of potential, but it could be a war. I mean, Justin Gaethje's been in some of the most iconic fights.
So many performance bonuses from him as well.
And Fiziev is always a threat for the knockout. He's got heavy hands. I'm really excited for that fight. I have to agree. That's the one I want to see the most.
No, definitely. And again, I mean, we have one of the best main events coming up is this fight being Usman versus Leon Edwards. Leon coming off of a championship win after that late round headshot kill on Usman. So real quick, I'll preface this. I'm not the biggest Leon Edwards fan. I am an Usman fan. Like, I'm a pretty big Usman fan. I'm not too fond of Leon Edwards. Owen, when you're looking at this fight, like, what kind of observations are you making?
Right. So before the last fight, I wouldn't say I was like any sort of a hater on Leon, obviously. But coming into this fight now after that iconic headshot knockout, I mean, for me, it was so great to see because I am an Usman fan, right? But that moment right there, that's UFC history. That's what the sport's all about. Pulling it out of the fire, just like his coaches needed. It was crazy, right? So coming into this fight, I think Leon's going to have a big chip on his shoulder. I think in some of the interviews, it sounds like he is overlooking Usman a little bit because, well, he did dominate well in the first round. Usman had every other minute of that fight in control the whole time. And I think that's something that's being looked over. And so it's hard to tell this fight especially how it's going to go because clearly we don't know what Leon Edwards has up his sleeve.
Mm-hmm.
I think if I had to make a prediction, I am going by Usman. I think he does what he does best. I think he's gonna wear on Leon. I think he's gonna prove his dominance on the ground, show some strikes on the feet. I think he's gonna bring it to a 49-46 or a 50-45 decision, and we're gonna go back to Ann New. And I think honestly that's how it's gonna go. I don't know that. I think it's gonna be closer. I'll put it like that. So maybe not 50-45. I think it is gonna be closer. But I do think Usman's going to win, yeah. What do you guys think?
Yeah, definitely.
Right.
Drew,
honestly, I'd have to agree. I think the way this last fight went, like, Leon did, he came out pretty good in the first round. He probably took the first round. He definitely did. He took the first round.
Mm-hmm.
And then Usman was able to get to his game plan and kind of weigh on him a lot and keep it gritty, like, on the clinch and just, like, keep the pace up on him and started winning a lot of those rounds. And I think that's honestly going to be a similar way that the fight's going to go. And it's just going to kind of come up to if he's able to get that headshot again and pull that same kind of magic off. I think Usman's going to be. I would pick Usman for sure.
Definitely. If I'm looking at the fight, without another one-shot knockout or that knockout threat, if Usman can neutralize, right, those powerful kicks and just have a good defensive plan, keep the distance when you can, and not allow him to get close or really set up those head kicks, I just think Usman finishes him within 3. I think Usman can bring this to the ground and really dominate Leon. Leon, other than, those kicks, his kickboxing, like when we get to the ground, although I know Leon has a good clinch game and can really utilize his knees, I just think overall Usman is the dominant grappler, and on the ground, I think it's all going to be Usman. Even in the press conference, Usman said that, let's wrestle.
He's probably he's probably gonna be a little more persistent to want to keep it on the ground like he was in the last fight too. He's gonna be a little more like, this is where we're going with this. Yeah,
so I also think Usman takes the win, and I actually think he finishes him within 3.
That's the thing too, is it's hard to tell what kind of Usman we're getting, right? A lot of people are saying like a knockout like that will affect you for the rest of your life. But also what I think is not being considered is, does he have that fire in him like he did against Jorge the second time, where he comes and sleeps him, right? So we don't know if he's going out there to really prove his dominance and just wants to put Leon out. And I think I think you made a good point too, Chase. I think he could really find a ground and pound finish here, right? It's hard to tell what Usman we're going to get, or if he's just kind of going to get the win in whatever means necessary. 5-round decision, right? Who knows what's coming in here? Who knows the preparation they both put in? It's such an easy fight on paper to pick, right? You see the records, even though Leon won last time, you say Usman, right? It's pretty easy to pick that way. Right. But when you think about all the other factors that can stack up, it really gets harder to pick.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, there's a lot of layers to this fight. It's definitely interesting.
Definitely. With a win by Usman, say it's a dominating win per se, Owen, where do you put Usman on all-time welterweight? Like, where does he look in the rankings? Obviously, you got guys like GSP and whatnot. Yeah. So, what do you think if he wins this? Like, where does that really put him in that division historically?
For me, not number 1, right? I'm a big GSP fan.
Yeah.
If you're counting PED users, it's hard to say GSP is number 1 for GOAT list. But if you're counting clean, he's definitely still number 1. Like I said, I'm a big GSP fan. I think Usman's close though. Because obviously GSP got knocked out by Matt Hughes, right? That happens. If Usman can come back and dominantly win back his title, And it sounds like he's thinking about he's nearing the end, and obviously his body's kind of messed up, his knees are really bad. But I think he's going to have to do a little bit more for me to prove he's really, really up there for contention. Maybe Hamzat Chimaev is staying in the weight class. I'd love to see him versus Shavkat Rakhmonov. Fights like that,
Right.
if he can get
Those are
those under his belt, it's a lot easier case to make, and then I think we can start to have the discussion for sure.
Definitely. Real quick, you said, talk about the other contenders in the 170 division, right? You have, this is interesting, on Ariel's podcast, Conor McGregor had said if he does beat Michael Chandler at 170 and Usman wins, he wants a leapfrog and get the title shot against Usman. Do you think that's in a realistic standard? Like, do you think that's something that could really happen, or is like Khamzat and Shavkat going to be the next guys?
Unfortunately, I do think it's realistic because at the end of the day, it is Conor McGregor, right? So if he gets a KO win over Chandler, who has never fought in welterweight before, the UFC might actually give him a shot, especially because Usman and Leon both want that McGregor money. I mean, it's a different level of check. But you got a ton of great contenders in this division. I mean, you got Burns versus Masvidal in the next 2 weeks. And I'm not very high on Masvidal. I don't think he's really a contender. I think Burns beats him. But a little flash of news. I don't know if you guys saw this. Well, weighing in, both fighters made weight, but a secret backup came in. Colby Covington weighed in for this fight. Yeah. So he's still circulating around. Yeah. So I think before he gets a title shot, I think he needs another one for Colby. But it's great to see him there.
So moving off that fight, because we all picked Usman. What do you think about the Rafael Justin Gaethje? Who wins that fight?
All right, so I'm a pretty big Rafael Fiziev fan. I'm pretty high on him. But this fight's got me a little more worried than the bookies seem to have it. I mean, right now, he's a heavy betting favorite. He's a minus 225. And I love Rafael Fiziev. I'm still going to take that line. But Justin Gaethje, he's war-tested and battle-ready. We've seen him time and time again. Like you said, Andrew, he's been in there for war. He's been in there with everyone, the toughest opponents yet, right? So I think this is going to be a slugfest war, back and forth. And the thing that has me worried is, especially in the Bobby Green fight, we've seen Fiziev fade a little bit in the later rounds. And that does have me worried, especially since I'm a fan. So I'm taking Fiziev money line. I think honestly he has the ability to finish Gaethje if Gaethje doesn't go the wrestling route, which he definitely could. I think he has the ability to finish Gaethje. I also think he can pull away a decision. But I wouldn't lie if I say that taking the prop bet of Gaethje by decision is really not a bad bet. It's a dangerous fight for Fiziev, and I think he knows that. I don't think he's taking it lightly. But for me, if from a betting perspective, the best line to take is the over 1.5. Obviously, both of these guys have the ability to knock each other out quick, but they've also both shown that they have a tough chin. So I think this at least goes to round 2 or 3. A great possibility it goes to decision. Either way, that's a barn burner right there. That's a crazy fight. What do you guys have for that fight?
So the reason I really think Rafael is getting a big eye here, right? And the reason I think so is because we've seen Gaethje come out very wild, right? The way he throws his overhands and he leaves his face open, leaves his body open. Fiziev is such a calculated and close-knitted. He's so accurate with his strikes, right? So those wild punches by Gaethje, you can't afford to have those wild punches by Gaethje because Rafael will catch you. Rafael will get a jab in there. He's so accurate and so tame with all that nonetheless. But I think I'm going to go with the highlight. I like Justin Gaethje here. He's, like you said, he's the underdog, correct? Okay. Yeah, so I'm going to go Justin Gaethje only for the reason that Justin Gaethje's been in these wars, and I think he's a little more battle-tested in these kind of situations more than Fiziev. But this is a throw in the air. Either a guy can win, truly. Right. So what do you think, Joe?
Oh, man, this is going to be a great fight. I'm really excited for this one because I truly feel like this is a great representation. Fights are so dynamic. This is one where anything can happen.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised by anything. Either guy could get a finish at any time. I hope that we get a chance to see them really go the distance and put on a war. But man, this is a tough one. If I had to right now, make a pick. I'd say Gaethje by decision. I
Okay.
think it's going to be just a war, and we're going to see Gaethje's tested in those later rounds, and that might be the opportunities where he gets to pull away a little bit in the cards.
Yeah, I think this is a great test for Fiziev to go if he's able to go 3 rounds with somebody like Justin Gaethje, who's probably the hardest hitter in the division, possibly. That's
Right.
going to be really good for his stock and for his potential in this division. And yeah, I really can't blame anybody for taking Gaethje here because, and especially
Right.
if you're betting on this, who's such a heavy underdog, I don't understand it. I mean, the guy's proven that he's great. It's Rafael's time to prove that now. And so I think we're definitely in for a hell of a fight, whichever way it goes.
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah, no, I agree. Well, before we sign off, Owen, real quick, any other fight on the card that really caught your eye and maybe some picks you have for the rest of the card?
Definitely. So the Gunnar Nelson Brian Barberito one, I'm kind of gonna stay away from that. I mean, Gunnar Nelson's a huge betting favorite, but I'm probably gonna take him. But I'm not really a fan of either of the guys. Going down the card next, you got Jennifer Maia versus Casey O'Neill. Casey O'Neill being a heavy betting favorite. I do like her. I've watched her previous fights. She had a close win against Roxanne Modafferi, which doesn't look great, but she's got crisp striking. I believe, yeah, she's got a 5-inch reach advantage in this fight. I think she can use that with her jab. I think she can come away with a win there. Marvin Vettori versus Roman Dolidze being buried in the main card is a great fight.
A great fight. Yeah.
I love that. Yeah. For me, honestly, I think Dolidze is kind of going to get fraud checked. I wouldn't say I'm a Vettori fan, but I mean, nobody's putting that guy away, right? So I think Vettori does what he needs to do there. Are you guys watching that fight? You interested in that fight?
Yeah,
absolutely.
Oh, definitely. We'll watch every single. We like to watch the early
that's gonna
prelims.
be a big
to the
test.
main.
Vettori's gonna kind of definitely. That's a step up for him.
Yeah,
he's gonna feel Vettori. It's gonna be hard to get Vettori out of there for sure. He's gonna be in his face every round.
Jack Shore versus Amir Khani is also a great fight. Shore moving up to featherweight, making his featherweight debut. A funny stat I found: they both have wins over the current Ultimate Fighter cast members, which is a little interesting there. Yeah. For me, I think they're setting Shore up to get a win. He's not fighting an easy opponent, but every time Amir Khani fights decent level opposition, he loses, and I think Jack Shore is that. I think he's decent level competition. So I think he's going to go out there. He might get a finish. It might be a decision. I think Jack Shore wins that one as well. That's a great fight, though.
Yeah, I'm interested. I agree with that.
Jack Shore for that.
Yeah, so I'm pretty big on the Mokaev train. He's one of my favorite prospects for sure. I've been watching him since he got in the UFC, all of his fights so far, and I saw a little bit before he was in there as well. He's coming up against a guy, Jafel Filo. I'm not too familiar with him. Mokaev says it's because no ranked opponents would fight him, and it's to be determined how true that really is. But I mean, Mokaev's a beast. I mean, I think people were a little questionable of his last win against Malcolm Gordon, who's also fighting on this card, because he couldn't find the submission until late in the third. But I mean, he was relentless with his takedowns in that fight. And looking at Filo's record, he's got 1 loss by decision and 1 by submission. And I think Mokaev's going to come out here in front of his home crowd on a numbered card. He's coming out there with something to prove. I'm taking the prop bet on this because he's such a heavy betting favorite. You heard it here first. Mokaev by submission is what I'm picking there. I think he's going to show him some hands, but I think he's going to bring it down, lock it up like Filo has been locked up before.
I like it.
Yeah, I like that. Filo is he's a boxer, from what I'm understanding. The thing about Filo is, like, on any social media platform or whatnot, there's not a lot of fight material on this guy. Like, there's not a lot of film you can really study on him. And as I'm seeing now, is Filo I'm pretty sure he's like the biggest underdog on the card or so. And there was a huge underdog. I'm trying to remember when I was looking at this earlier.
Right now, he is the biggest on the card.
Wow.
Yeah, but the submission was good though, because Filo, there's not like any wrestling film of this guy. Like, this guy's a boxer, so that I do like the submission pick there.
Yeah. The rest of the card is pretty decent. Lerone Murphy, it's great to see him back in there. I think he can get a win. You got 2 Chris Duncans fighting on the card.
Yeah, I seen that. Yeah.
That's a little unique. I think, I'm not gonna lie, I think at least one of them loses their matchup. But Chris Duncan versus Dusko Todorovic is a great fight. I think that's going to be a banger. I'm definitely going to be watching that fight. Like I mentioned with Muhammad Makayev, Malcolm Gordon's back fighting on this card against Jake Hadley. And I think they're trying to set Jake Hadley up here with a win. But I'm actually sprinkling a little bit on Malcolm Gordon. At a plus 300, I really like that pick because Jake Hadley is he's pretty he moves a lot for submissions. And like I said, we saw Malcolm Gordon go 3 rounds with a relentless Muhammad Makayev who could not figure out how to submit this guy. I think he doesn't have any crazy wins in the UFC yet, Malcolm Gordon, but I think he might have it in him. So I took a little bit on Malcolm Gordon by decision because it's a crazy payout. Not very much. If he loses that, I won't be too upset. But I do think he's being overlooked a lot. And then that's kind of there's a lot of unfamiliars on this card, which I'm not shying away from. I'm definitely going to be looking out. Joanne Woods making what's probably her retirement fight.
Yeah,
to
she's
be
like
honest.
30.
Yeah, she's like 37 at this point now too, and she's not been she hasn't really won too many fights as of recently. She's not, so this might be hanging the gloves up for her.
I saw, but she's like almost a substantial betting favorite, and I don't understand that.
No, who's her
opponent?
pretty sure it's the Ultimate Fighter the Ultimate Fighter winner. What's her name? I can't remember.
Are you talking about Juliana Miller?
Oh yeah, Juliana Miller. Right. Yeah. Mixed the two up, but Juliana Miller. Going back to that real quick, Juliana Miller. I'm excited to see her come off of the Ultimate Fighter and come in there. So I'm excited.
Definitely a good fight first of the night. Yeah. So Joanne Woods facing Luana Carolina, and her last fight was getting spinning elbowed to the floor by Molly McCann. Not a great look. Not at
all.
I think this is kind of a fight between two people who really have nothing to prove because neither of them are really going anywhere, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm. Not much of a skilled fight. Not much of a skilled fight going on right there. No.
And then the last fight that I got my eyes on is Jai Herbert versus Ludovic Klein. I think that's a really great fight. It's going to be back and forth. Jai Herbert's huge for the division, right? The guy's, I think, like 6'1", 6'2". And they, I think it's hard to pick a winner in this because both are hard and both hit hard. But
right, they both have that knockout.
I mean, you guys saw Ilia Topuria versus Jai Herbert, right? Not many people can put Ilia Topuria down, and Jai Herbert did exactly that.
Mm-hmm.
But what my prop bet is here is for this over 2.5 rounds or to go the distance, because I think both of these guys can take a punch. I mean, you look at Jai Herbert getting finished by Ilia Topuria. I think fucking Francis Ngannou could be finished by Ilia Topuria. I mean, that guy can fucking punch, right?
Yeah, he has a hit. He has a hit.
He really does. But I think this is going to be a back and forth fight. I mean, opening up the card, they're going to want to get a dominant win. I think it's hard to pick a winner, so I'm taking the prop on the over 2.5 rounds. Klein's coming off 2 back-to-back decision wins, and Herbert's coming off a decision win as well. So they've Herbert's fought some tough competition. I think this fight's going to be back and forth. I think it's going to go the distance, and I think it's going to be a great way to start a crazy card of fights. I'm not going to lie.
Oh yeah, that's gonna be a banger.
Yeah, listen, I'm super excited. Like you guys heard from Owen, load your parlays up, get them going. Owen's got you guys covered for this one.
Takes for the week.
But nonetheless, listen, 286 is gonna be great. I mean, the rest of the year,
most of them, honestly.
the rest of the year is gonna be great. Let's see, there's gonna be just so many good ones, and I'm really excited. And we'll have to for 287, we'll have to bring you on again, Owen, and we'll get you guys some parlays loaded. Again, this is not advice. Gamble at your own risk. It's on. If you lose money, it's on Owen. If you lose money, it's on.
But if I make money, it's definitely on me. This one.
It's definitely on him.
Yeah, you throw him a couple dollars.
Definitely. But Owen, listen, thank you for your time, my man. You have a great rest of your day, okay? And we'll see you guys
I appreciate
later.
you guys having me on. Have a great day, you guys.
Enjoy the car, dude.